these are my general thoughts on the demo of Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. In general, I believe that this is a complete remake. This is a travesty compared to the original game and even compared to the 3DS remake, which it was also a downgrade from the original game in different aspects. I am currently going through the 3DS version of the game and I will not put footage of the 3DS version unless really and absolutely necessary, because the 3DS version is also a downgrade, so in some situations I may need to use it, but don't expect it as a general rule, because the comparisons that I am going to do are about the original PlayStation game and the newest remake. So I am going to start with the positive things, or the possible positive things that I can say about this travesty remake. The statues for HP and save that were placed to make dungeons less punishing could be seen as a positive. I don't like them, but I can maybe think they are a positive if you remember that Dragon Quest games in general usually are those type of games that make you play really conservative in terms of mana, in terms of your MP. Now, I think that is part of the game, but at the same time, sometimes it is really obnoxious that you can't just use your abilities, your spells, because you're afraid to get out of mana real quickly. Now, in this remake, there is not going to be a casino. We already know that the casinos were removed, so the MP potions that you could get on those casinos, you cannot get them anymore in the casino. But what I have seen in this remake, and this is another positive thing about this remake, is that they have made these MP potions to drop really often. So when I was playing, I was receiving these MP potions. I don't remember their names, but in the original game they are just called potions, so I am just going to call them potions. And these potions were given to me really often, so I don't see why these statues are needed, but I can understand why some people will believe that having these statues is a positive thing, so you don't have to be as conservative as in the old games. But I also see the argument that this shouldn't have been in the game because it makes it more easy, and that the original game wanted you to be conservative with your mana. So I can see both sides of the argument. I am going to leave it as a possible positive. And this is me grasping, as you can see, this is me grasping to try to say something positive about this stupid remake. Now, another positive thing that I saw is that the characters already have some predetermined classes, and this is also present in the original game, but the difference is that in the original game these classes don't learn anything. They aren't actual classes. So in this remake they actually are classes and they have new spells and new abilities to learn, so that is actually pretty cool. I think that is a good addition to the game. And the last good thing that I saw in this game that I believe is a positive is that drops come more often. So you will have monsters dropping items to you really often. I do like this, because originally in Dragon Quest games, especially in Dragon Quest VII, Dragon Warrior 7, the drops were really scarce. Some people complained about monster hearts, for example, but in my playthrough that I am playing right now, I made a character with only monster classes and I didn't have any issue getting the hearts. In fact, they come really often in my opinion. The Dombira heart is the one that is possibly the hardest to get, and it didn't really took me a lot of time. So I can see why people complained about the drops in the original game, especially about monster hearts drops, but I still believe they aren't as bad. But for example, the 3DS version makes monster hearts drop more often. They made it easier to get these monster hearts, so that is a positive for the 3DS version. Now we all know in this stupid remake they removed monster hearts, so fucking sucks, right? They are changed. They are not removed per se, but they are changed, or maybe they are removed because maybe now they don't drop at all from monsters. Maybe they just drop from these exclusive monsters that we see on the map or in certain areas. or maybe these monster hearts just come from chests, who knows. But what I saw about the drop rates, I think it's a positive change. So that's it. So now with that out of the way, I can now focus on the bad stuff about this stupid remake. For starters, and I already said this in my first video, you can't search on sacks anymore. The sacks that are hanging from the walls are unsearchable now. There is problems with this, with the optimization and the design of the game. There is screen tearing, and this screen tearing only happens if your FPS go past the cap of 60 FPS. If you remove the cap from 60 FPS and you increase it to 120 FPS, you will start seeing screen tearing. And this screen tearing is not going to go away even if you enable VSync. Because what happens is if that you enable VSync, the game is going to be forced back into 60 FPS. I don't understand what the fuck they are doing with this game. Enable VSync should absolutely not reduce your FPS to 60 or cap your FPS to 60 FPS. That shouldn't be a thing. But in this remake, that happens. And if you go past 60 FPS, you have to remove VSync to enable going past 60 FPS. And whenever you go past 60 FPS, you will start seeing screen tearing and you cannot get rid of it. Even if you go through your NVIDIA control panel, you cannot get rid of that shit. There is no way. And the only way that maybe you can get rid of this screen tearing is if you put your FPS on unlimited. And what happens when you do that is that the game is going to start pushing your GPU really hard. In fact, my GPU started to do really concerning sounds. So I had to cap my FPS to 120 FPS and deal with the screen tearing. And this is a shame. You are paying $60 for this stupid game and they can't be bothered to give basic optimizations. This is just terrible fucking game design. This is lazy game design and you shouldn't be rewarding this garbage. Also, the game has the Nuvo. What the fuck are they thinking with this piece of shit software that the only thing it does is punishing the players that actually buy the game by reducing their performance. Now, let's talk about the real gameplay. I see a ton of hand holding in this game. I don't like that. I detest when games introduce tons of hand holding. I am not retarded. I can play my own games. I don't need your stupid help. And if for some reason I need help, I will search for a guide. I am not incompetent. I can do well on my own. Another change that looks retarded is the way that doors disappear. Whenever you open a door, the door disappears. So you're telling me the developers are so damn lazy, they can't animate a door opening these days? You can't do that anymore? What is the point of making doors disappear? Lazy fucks. Another change is that you can no longer play as the lead of your party as whomever you want to put in the front. You can no longer do that. If you move your party around, you're always going to end up using the official main character as the lead of the party. So you can no longer play as Gabo, as Kiefer, as Maribel, as Ace. You can no longer do that. As I already explained, Monster Hearts were changed from actual classes to lame as fuck accessories that give some passive bonuses. This is lazy, this is an insult, this is a travesty. I am going to show you in the background these monster classes, how many they were, and how you needed to go and master them and combine them to unlock more powerful monster classes, and a ton of abilities of these monster classes were exclusive to these monster classes. So I don't know what is going to happen with these abilities. Are they completely lost? Are they going to be introduced in the normal jobs? How are you supposed to get these abilities? Like Big Banga, how are you supposed to get them now? Like White Fire, the fire version and the cold version, how are you supposed to get that? Those abilities were exclusive, and not only that, the monster classes already have passive abilities on their own. For example, there was a class that gave you a shit ton of strength. I think it was called the Voodoo or something like that. It was this genie, this Jinn type of class, type of monster. There was also the platinum slime that allowed you to essentially become a metal slime immune to skills with super high defense, but also reduced your total health to balance this out. But you essentially become an immortal tank when you are a platinum slime. So the classes already had, these monster classes already had passive bonuses when you were on these classes, and also when you mastered these classes you actually became the monster. Your sprite, your 3D form in the 3DS, I believe so, changed into the monster, into the actual monster. So whenever you were in the overworld, you will see your character as the monster. That shit is gone from the game. I need you to understand how bad the changes to this game are, how much of a downgrade this piece of shit is. The maps of the game are too small. They are just too fucking small. They look ridiculous. If you compare them to the PS1 version of these maps, they were bigger. And if you compare them to the 3DS versions, the 3DS versions look more immersive. You feel like you're actually exploring the land in the 3DS version. And that is not only an exclusive part of the maps. The overall aesthetic of the game looks stupid. This diorama garbage looks like that, like fucking garbage. This new remake it doesn't look immersive, and it also doesn't look charming. It doesn't look charming as the original game. If I wanted to experience the game in a top-down position, I will just play the original game. If I wanted to experience the game in a more immersive way, I will just choose the 3DS version of the game, because it looks much more immersive. Why would I fucking choose this remake? The reimagined version, why would I choose that? It looks like fucking garbage. And talking about the graphics, the fucking characters look retarded, look awful. The design, the original Akira Toriyama style is lost. Why did they receive the treatment of the Silent Hill 2 characters? The Silent Hill 2 remake already increased the faces, the heads of the characters, especially the girls, because this uglification of women, it had to happen, right? In the Silent Hill 2 remake, they made the women had these big as fuck heads. Well, in this remake, in this Dragon Quest Reimagined remake, they also did that shit. Why? Because they are appealing to these stupid soy boys and women that buy this stupid Funko Pops garbage, that like this chibi looking style that looks effeminate. The original style of Dragon Quest VII, it was a bit different from the other Dragon Quest titles. It felt more in line with what the original Dragon Ball or Arale, but it also still looked like Toriyama's work. This shit looks like a Pixar movie. Just look at Kiefer's head. What the fuck happened to that guy? It's clear as day they are increasing the size of the heads to make them look more kiddie show friendly. It's fucking garbage. On top of that, they are also censoring the game. Aira or Aish outfit is censored. Like I exposed in my first video, this female warrior's outfit, these female warrior's armors are censored too, dialogues are censored, and don't start with your garbage that the 3DS version wasn't censored, because I have proof that the 3DS version was censored too. Matilda, this character that you meet in the first island of the game, she's a female warrior that has or is supposed to be wearing this skimpy armor. In the 3DS version, she's already censored. She has that stupid skirt, that tail on her armor that wasn't present in the original sprite of the game. Now, in the 3DS version, she's not wearing shorts. Well, in the reimagined version, she is wearing shorts. Because, as some people have explained many times, these people are going to grab your arm and your leg. If you offer them your hand, they are going to take your leg too. And eventually they are going to take you completely. This censorship garbage is like a cancer. You cannot keep it without checks. You cannot allow it to grow. If you keep it unchecked, it's going to grow. It's going to increase. It starts with censoring a little bit of the legs. Then, when you're least expecting it, your character is already wearing a burqa. Or maybe it became a fucking man. Or maybe they blackwashed your character. Who knows? Who knows, dude? So this is why you shouldn't allow these clowns to even impose a little bit of censorship. So if you are simping for the 3DS version, you need to know that your stupid... The definitive version is the 3DS version. You're a fucking idiot. Your 3DS version is already censored. There is another example. Just yesterday I was playing this part of the story where you are supposed to revive these elemental spirits. The wind spirit has a dialogue in the original game where she clearly behaves like a slut. And Ida, or Aish, whatever you want to call her, she makes this comment in the original game that where she calls this spirit a slut. Literally calls her a slut. She calls her the spirit of being a slut or something like that. In the 3DS version, that line is gone. In the original game, this wind spirit shows interest in Gabo, in Ruff. She likes Gabo, she likes Ruff. In the 3DS remake, that line is removed. So tell me again that your stupid 3DS version is the definitive version, you fucking idiot. You are an inferior being. Stop talking to me, retard. Stop trying to convince me. Stop trying to manipulate or trying to get in my head. Your 3DS version is already censored. I can agree that the 3DS version looks better than even this stupid new remake. I can agree to that. I can agree that the 3DS version has some good things, like the ability to get monster hearts more easily, or that some things were made better. I can agree to that. But are you going to deny that they destroyed the introduction of the game too in the 3DS version? Because just yesterday I played the introduction of the game in the 3DS version. And if you're going to come to me with a straight face and tell me that the 3DS version is the definitive version, motherfucker, I will not say what I am thinking because I don't want to get banned. But no, the 3DS version is already censored and is already a remake because it removed content from the game. So stop trying to push your stupid agenda that the 3DS version is the definitive version, because it's fucking not. Now, aside from that, the censorship, there is already all the changes that they stripped from the game, like the introduction of the game, completely changed. And they are going to change more things. We already know because they already said that they are going to streamline the game. And for them, streamlining the game means removing content from the stupid game. So you are here telling me that you're simping and cheating for an inferior version that has less content, and you're here telling me that you're eager to pay more money for that? You're a fucking idiot. You're a consumer, you're a fanatic, you have no fucking brain. You're an NPC. There is another aspect of the game that was changed, and it's also a fucking travesty. Party dialogue was changed. In the original game, and even in the 3DS version of the game, the characters, you could talk to your party and they will react and comment on whatever the fuck was happening at the time. If an important event was happening, they will comment about that event. If you will talk to an NPC, according to what this NPC tells to you, according to this dialogue, your party will react and comment on what the NPC just said to you. This party dialogue was one of the things that made this game so special. Now, I don't know how many Dragon Quest games have this type of party dialogue, but I do know that Dragon Warrior 7 has it. And the 3DS version has it too. In this remake, you don't have that. The party chat has become essentially more hand-holding, a way to take the hands of the player and guide them if they are too stupid to figure it out how to go to a quest marker on the map. That is what we are dealing with. They are catering to brain damaged people. This remake is focused on people with brain damage. Long gone are the days when you will be doing something, inspecting something in your game, and your party will react to what you will be inspecting. Long gone are the days when they will comment on the dialogues that you have with NPCs or the events that were happening around you. Long gone are those days, and these days is all about hand holding. They do have a few dialogues that are not related to hand holding, but it doesn't compensate because the amount of dialogues that they stripped from this game, from the party chat, it's just a fucking tragedy. It's a fucking tragedy. The music of the game is accelerated, and to be fair, it was accelerated even from the 3DS version, from what I played yesterday. It just fucking sucks. Why the fuck do you need to accelerate the music? It removes immersion from the game. Another change that I see from this remake is that monsters have these abilities that are essentially crowd control abilities that can put your characters or can stun your characters essentially. They can completely make your characters unable to react, unable to be used, unable to defend. They will completely disable your characters, these CC abilities from these enemies. In the original game, in the PS1 game, and I am already on the finish line on that game. I am about to finish that game, so I know what I am talking about. These abilities, these CC abilities weren't as powerful, they weren't as successful, neither from you or from the monsters. They were kind of meh, but they were there, and they could be successful, but the odds were not as high. Well, now in this stupid remake, what they are doing is that they are making what they did with Dragon Quest XI, which is a piece of shit game, and one of the reasons why Dragon Quest XI is a piece of shit game is because that game feels like you're playing a slot machine game. You're playing RNG. The combat, some of the bosses feel like you're in a casino instead of fighting an actual boss, because said bosses will be able to disable your characters entirely. Your entire party could be disabled with multiple CC abilities. Well, in this game, in this remake, in Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, they buffed those CC abilities of enemies, and now you are going back to that piece of shit, abusive, cheap artificial difficulty design of Dragon Quest XI. They are doing exactly the same, and I can tell you right now that was not the case in the original game. Those abilities weren't as powerful. Those abilities weren't as successful. The odds of your party, of your entire party, or even more than one character being completely disabled were super low. Well, now that's not the case. Welcome back to Dragon Quest XI. Fuck this shit. And talking about Dragon Quest XI, you know what they also brought from Dragon Quest XI? The stupid as fuck unbalanced difficulty, of course. Because now you're able to choose the difficulty you want to play in. The original game didn't have a difficulty level and never needed that shit. Well, in this game, you can now pick a hard difficulty, and you can expect this hard difficulty to be completely imbalanced. Just like the Dragon Quest XI Dragovian Trials or whatever the fuck difficulty. It was completely imbalanced, and paired with that point that I spoken before, the CC, the buff to CC, and the Dragon Quest XI casino boss battles, pair that with completely abusive quote-unquote hard difficulty, and Dragon Quest XI was a shit show in terms of difficulty balance. In Dragon Quest XI you only had baby mode or hard as fuck artificial difficulty mode. Those were your only options. It was essentially a false dichotomy difficulty. The original Dragon Quest VII never needed that shit. It never needed this stupid change. You can say, oh well, it's an extra, you can just put the game on normal. How do I know that the normal difficulty is equivalent to the original normal's difficulty settings? How do I know that? I fucking don't, and I don't think it's the same, because if they've buffed the CC abilities, that already is not the same difficulty, because they completely changed the difficulty with that. And this is essentially what I feel about the remake, and the things that I have noticed about this remake. It's completely inferior to the original one and the 3DS version. And you need to understand that the 3DS version already had many changes that I don't agree with. Another thing that they censored in the remake, in the 3DS remake, is that you no longer call God. you now called it the Almighty. Stupid changes like that, all the reference to alcohol, sex, and all of those mature themes, blood, were removed from the 3DS version of the game. And this new remake goes even further. As I explained before, you cannot bend the knee to these people, because whenever you do it, they will do it more. They will never be happy. It's never going to be enough with them until they completely change what you like. So this is why, if you are thinking that the 3DS version of the game is the definitive version, you are a fucking retard. You are an inferior being, my guy. You are. Now, I can respect that you like the 3DS version better because the graphics are good, are decent. I can respect that. I can respect that you appreciate some of the positive changes of the 3DS version. I can accept and I can respect that. But if you come to me and tell me the 3DS version is the definitive version of the game, like I said, I am going to save myself from a ban. I'm not going to say what I really want to say about that. But well, if the 3DS version of the game was already an inferior version, fuck, the Dragon Quest VII Reimagined version can't even compare to the 3DS version. It's a downgrade of a downgrade. It's a fucking disgrace.